It's simulation time. I'm Alex Marchand, author and artist of The Universe is Virtual. Today's subject, the two alternatives to simulation theory. Simulation theory is an attempt at formulating an answer to the age-old question, what is reality? Historically, there have been three main approaches to formulating an answer to that question. 1. Physical realism, that the physical is all there is. 2. Cartesian dualism, which is the proposition that the physical world exists, but there is also a higher reality beyond. In other words, matter and mind are separate realms. And 3rd, virtualism, which poses that the physical world is a construct created by something outside itself, thus making the physical world like a dream or, in contemporary terminology, a simulation. In the West, as the ideological war between science and religion grew, Descartes proposed the truths of dualism based on I think, therefore I am. Why not have both mind and body? The spirituality of religion and the physicality of science. This divided scientists into atheists, who believed only in the physical world, theists, who believed in a world beyond it as well, and agnostics who couldn't decide. This marriage of convenience worked for a while, but it didn't last, as now science in general denies the spiritual. The problem for dualism is how can two distinct realities coexist? If mind and body don't interact, they aren't relevant to each other. What use is a mind that can't affect the body? Or if they do interact, which came first? A mind that emerges from a physical brain is like a superfluous gas given off by a physical heap. While if a non-physical mind creates the world, why is the world such a mess? Either way, if one is real, then the other isn't, or at best, it is irrelevant. And if the two realities are in conflict, why hasn't heaven purged earth already, or earth corrupted heaven? If mind and body are different sides of the same coin, what is the coin? Facing such challenges, dualism is currently in retreat before the monism that there is only one reality and it is physical. Monism is simpler than dualism. So when scientists say the physical world they study right now is real, and theologians say a future spiritual world is real, many people prefer now to later. Science began when Aristotle concluded that for all practical purposes, physical events caused physical events, where physical meant material, not the nothing of space. Over time, matter was assumed to exist by its own substantiality, even when it obeyed God's laws. Today, physics takes the term physical to include energy, even though light has no mass, by saying that energy can transform into matter and by giving light a relativistic mass. It sees a physical world of matter-energy that exists by and of itself in a space-time context that is also seen as real in itself by some. In physical realism, there is a real world out there apart from us, and it is physical. The physical universe is seen to be all there is because it is real in itself, and so it needs nothing else to sustain it. This ideological belief that no reality exists beyond physical reality is sustained by 4 statements about the physical world, namely that it is 1. Eternal, 2. Continuous, 3. Deterministic, and 4. Self-existing. However, the discoveries of science have failed to support those 4 pillars. Number 1. Eternal. What exists by its own substance can be transformed but cannot be made or unmade by external means. A physical world that was made implies something beyond it, contradicting physical realism. The failure of steady-state theory to compete with Big Bang theory last century cracked this pillar. So supporters patched it by speculating that the physical universe magically arose from nothing or oscillates in a big bounce. Number 2. Continuous. Matter that self-exists by its own substance must do so in a continuous space and time, or something else would be needed to explain the gaps, again contradicting physical realism. This continuity creates infinities, so supporters had to invent the mathematical trick of renormalization to patch up the problem, a technique Feynman called a Dippy process. Number 3. Deterministic. If the physical world is all there is, then everything must have a physical cause. This denies random events such as atomic decay, as a random event by definition has no physical cause. It also denies quantum theory, which implies that every physical event is random to some degree. The patch to this was very creative. The many worlds multiverse fairy tale that every quantum event creates an entire new universe. This untestable theory was first thought absurd, as it is, but physicists holding onto physical realism to this day prefer it 3-1 over other theories. Given its fairy tale nature, Many Worlds has proven a fruitful foundation for fictional storytelling in books, TV, and movies. But the Clockwork Many Worlds multiverse is merely the zombie theory reincarnation of the Clockwork universe that quantum theory demolished the century before. Number 4. Self-existing. A physical world that is all there is must self-exist, as that anything else creates it contradicts physical realism. Yet quantum theory predicts that physical events only occur when quantum waves interact. So the observation alters the effect and the evidence supports this. The Standard Model pastes over this crack by postulating virtual particles that appear from nowhere to explain whatever an observer sees. It is interesting that instead of saying that God is eternal, all-pervading, all-powerful, and unbegotten, we now say that physicality is always conserved, continuous, universal, and made of fundamental particles. The terms are different, but the effect is much the same. One might as well say the physical world is eternal, all-pervading, all-powerful, and self-existing. Physical realism is more an ideology accepted by scientists than a conclusion of science itself. Physical realism isn't scientific if it doesn't handle the evidence well, and it doesn't. To believe physical realism today, one must also believe that our universe sprang into existence from nothing, that the infinities of continuity can be removed by a mathematical trick, that any photon can spawn another universe, and that virtual particles from empty space make things happen. To say that physical realism has a shaky foundation is an understatement. And that's where virtualism comes in. It provides a foundation for making sense of these scientific discoveries that don't make sense in the physical realism framework. Virtualism is the realm of simulations, but all simulation theories are not created equal. There are 5 main virtualism options: the matrix option, the pure simulation option, the quantum realism option, the universal mind option, and the oneness realism option. The options overlap somewhat, but have unique characteristics. Each of those 5 options will be explored in their own videos. That's it for now. If you'd like to do further research, the writings of information scientist Brian Whitworth were the main source material for this video. And don't be a non-player character. Like, comment, subscribe, and share to keep more content coming. Also, check out the link in the description to purchase The Universe is Virtual, where I reveal my proposed hack for escaping the simulation sooner rather than later.